You're looking at a chart of the US dollar against the Swiss franc, and I want to do an assessment here on high time frame. The two questions I always ask myself is, where have we come from? Well, that is answered by understanding that we've taken out this low and have reversed. And we can see that our first level of inefficiency that the market would be reaching for would have been this gap, which the market has gone through, okay? And so the only logical level will be liquidity, and that is this high here. Now that is quite close to this high, and so I would categorize those two highs as relative equal highs, and I think that's where the market is reaching for. Now I can see that the market has gone through and then retraced to this gap on a monthly chart, okay? Balanced that gap, and it seems to, so far, be respecting that gap, and we won't know until this current candle closes, because that is the current monthly candle. But the fact that we've gone through and essentially rejected the bottom end of that gap means that that's acting as support. One thing that I do like to do is have a look at where's the midpoint of that gap, and you can see the body candle so far is above the midpoint. That is a bullish signature, but that really needs to be on a closing candle basis. At the moment, this month is still in progress, and so we can't, with any definite reasoning, confirm that we will close above that midpoint. If we do, that's certainly bullish, and then I think we are then on track to head towards those equal highs on a monthly basis. So we can drop down on a weekly chart, and on a weekly chart, this week has completed. Okay, that was the last week. I'll remove the monthly midpoint, and we can calculate the midpoint of this gap on a weekly basis, and we have closed above that midpoint. We can see it's come down essentially to rebalance this inefficiency on this big up candle, and has come through to halfway, which is the midpoint, and then rejected, and that's a bullish indication, okay, on a closing candle basis. And so I think we are on track to head up to those relative equal highs that I've identified on the monthly chart, okay? So monthly is bullish, weekly is bullish on the US dollar versus the Swiss franc. Let's have a look at the dailies and see what the daily says. We can see that the daily has come down and balanced its previous gap completely, okay? And it's dropped down a little bit over that because of the weekly chart, okay? So that's what that drop below this level is. And this consolidation further provides confidence that we are perhaps reversing from this down move on a daily chart, okay? Now we can drop down to a 4 hourly, but before I do, we can see those equal highs from the monthly are up there, and I think that's where we're headed, up around that 92.50 area, okay? That doesn't mean that we need to forecast the ultimate high. There is plenty of movement remaining from where we are now all the way up until those highs. What this does for us is give us a directional bias, a bullish directional bias, meaning that we can now forecast higher prices every day, every week, until we reach those targets. That doesn't mean every single day is going to be bullish. We'll have market moving up and down, but generally we are looking for higher prices over the next couple of weeks until we reach our higher time frame objective. We can drop down to a 4 hourly chart, and we can also see a nice reversal here. Okay, this is a reversal pattern, and I can also see very clean highs on the 4 hour chart. So I think that's probably going to be the first immediate draw on liquidity, okay? And so that would be kind of my first target around that 91.60, okay? Then perhaps up at this level here into this 98, maybe 92 level. We can probably move it up a bit around the 92 level. And then, of course, the highs that we have identified on the monthly chart, okay? So the assessment from a monthly, weekly, daily, and 4 hourly indicates that the US dollar will show strength versus the Swiss franc. And immediate indication on a 4 hourly indicates equal highs up around this 91.60 area. So that's kind of where I believe this market is headed. And so I want to see price move down slightly just to get a better, I guess what I'm going to refer to the discount price. Okay, we typically don't just enter immediately. We want to see some kind of retracement, a pullback. Now, if I took perhaps a measurement of where the midpoint may come in for this large up candle, that's around this 89.30 area. So maybe 89.30, 89.40 is kind of what I want to see this come down into. Then I want to see some indication of strength in that zone for a continuation. And I want to see how price behaves at these resistance levels. Okay, I really want to see price get above this level. That'll act as support once we're above that level. So if we can get above that level, then that I think will act as support. Okay, so then we may get a move such as this. Okay, through this level, back down to support, into that level, and then back up through this level, back down to support, and then look for that. So that's the kind of trend I'm expecting. Okay, obviously this is all a forecast, and there's nothing stopping this market from reversing at any point in time. It all really depends on how the US dollar, the US economy, and the global political scene evolves over the next couple of weeks. But from a technical perspective, this is what we see on the charts. I see higher dollar against the Swiss franc, okay, higher US dollar, okay? And so this forms a bullish bias from a directional perspective, and now it just is a matter of where do we get in, how do we manage risk, and where do we take off partial targets, okay, so the whole trade management perspective. But this is more, this channel is all about price action behavior, and about how to identify high time frame directional bias, which I've gone through. So I expect that we will have a pullback somewhere into this zone. It doesn't have to come all the way back down to where I've marked this line, okay? It could just come to this area here, which may act as support, right? But somewhere around the 89.40 is where I kind of want to see this coming back down into. And then I want to see what does price do when it gets down to that level, and what day is that, and what session is that. The US dollar versus the Swiss franc is a pair that typically will trade and move in the New York session, okay, which is from that 9:30 a.m. New York time, somewhere around that time. What I really want to see is some kind of manipulation first half of the week, the false move, okay, that gets short sellers into the market. And then I want to see the real move. So I want to see this market move down to my discount level, okay, that I'm referring to a discount level in the first half of the week. And I want to see what this does in New York session midweek. And then what I'm going to be looking for is some kind of evidence of strength. Maybe it forms a support, a bottom, where I can see that there's now strength. And so it sort of, it sort of comes down to that level, forms a base, and then start to move up, okay? And then that's kind of the indication I want to see that it's then starting to move up, okay? So that's what we're looking for on the US dollar versus the Swiss franc. So your job is now to do exactly what I did on your own charts. Look at the monthly, look at the weekly, look at the daily, look at the 4 hourly, and see if you can identify what I've identified, and then monitor price. What does the US dollar versus the Swiss franc do from Monday to Wednesday? Do we get an initial manipulation move down? And then at what point, if at all, do we start to move back up? What does price do next Wednesday? Okay, this trading is all from Friday. Okay, this big move up from Friday. What does the market do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, especially at the New York Open at 9:30 a.m.? Do you see a indication of a reversal? This on a 4 hourly is one type of reversal. Do you see something similar on a lower time frame, 15-minute, 30-minute, on that time at 9:30 a.m. New York next Wednesday, which is where I would expect if we are going higher, I want to see that manipulation, a false move in the first half of the week. And then this kind of a pattern on a smaller time frame in New York at 9:30 a.m. next Wednesday, okay, New York time. I want to see this form, something like this, which is a bullish reversal pattern, okay, after this move down midweek, for an indication that maybe now we are changing direction and starting to head back up. So that's what I want you to study, okay, over the next entire week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I want you to see, do we get a false move down, okay, and then at what point do we start to reverse for the move up? Now, if Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday we don't go down and we actually move up, then I'd be a little bit cautious, because midweek I want to see a false move. So if this is going to go higher for the next first half of that week, I want to see this come down. If that first half of the week actually goes up, that means two things. It means this is either really strong and we're not going to get a false move prior to the move up, very rare, or it means that is the false move and this is coming back down after Wednesday, okay? So that's what I want you to monitor, that's what I want you to learn. So I will now talk with you in a future video. We'll come back to this sometime midweek next week and see what we see for a part 2 of this particular series. I will talk with you now in a future video.